two teenagers who mysteriously swap bodies despite living in different places and times. As they navigate each other's lives, they form a deep connection. Taki eventually discovers that Mitsuha's town was destroyed by a comet 3 years earlier. Determined to save her, he travels to her timeline and helps evacuate the town. The two later forget each other due to supernatural forces, but reunite years later, drawn together by fate. Before we start, please subscribe to my channel and press bell icon and stay tuned to Animated Realm with us. The movie begins. Mitsuha is a young shrine maiden who is tired of her life in the peaceful town of Itamori. She shouts, "I'm fed up with this town. I'm tired of this life. Please turn me into a hot Tokyo guy instead," which leads us to our other protagonist, Taki, who is indeed the attractive Tokyo guy. This marks the moment of the initial body switch between Taki and Mitsuha, displayed near the film's start, though it actually occurs later. It's important to note that Taki and Mitsuha are not only residing in different locations, but also in separate timelines. Taki is in the year 2016, while Mitsuha is in 2013. Therefore, when they exchange bodies, Mitsuha travels 3 years into the future, and Taki goes 3 years into the past. During this first switch, they have no knowledge of each other's identities and assume it's merely a dream, leading them to unknowingly embarrass one another in their distinct lives. Next, we flash back to a time 1200 years ago when a comet appeared and struck the Earth, creating a lake on which the town of Itamori would later be established. This comet is predicted to return, signaling impending disaster. Fast forward to the present timeline of our movie, and Mitsuha's mother passes away, resulting in her father abandoning the family and his obligations to the Shinto shrine they've been entrusted with, instead pursuing a political career and becoming the mayor of Itamori. Left without a mother and abandoned by their father, Mitsuha and her sister are raised by their grandmother, who teaches them the traditions of the shrine, including how to make kuchi kamazake, a drink made by chewing rice and spitting it out to allow it to ferment. As Mitsuha matures, she and her sister conduct the ceremony to create her kuchi kamazake, which will later play a crucial role in connecting Taki and Mitsuha. We discover that shrine maidens engage in specific rituals to honor their gods. This practice has resulted in a Freaky Friday-like ability being passed down through shrine maidens that follow these rites. The primary purpose of this gift is to alert the townsfolk about the impending comets and help avoid tragedies. Returning to the present, while Mitsuha inhabits Taki's body, she receives a text on his phone and learns that Taki works at a restaurant. Realizing she is running late, Mitsuha finds that being Taki is not as simple as it appears. She is unprepared for restaurant duties and makes several mistakes throughout the night. A troublesome customer demands free food, and unable to get it, he confronts Taki, or rather Mitsuha. Taki's older colleague, Okudera, intervenes to handle the situation, and the irate patron even slashes her skirt with a box cutter. After work, Mitsuha notices the tear in Okudera's skirt and offers to repair it, surprising herself with the realization that Taki has a feminine side. The following day, Taki returns to normal, and at work, his coworkers inquire about his relationship with Okudera, but he is unaware of what they are referring to. Suddenly, Miss Okudera enters and wishes everyone a pleasant day while winking at Taki, causing him to blush. Taki and Mitsuha come to the realization that they are not dreaming. They are uncontrollably body swapping. They take measures to assist one another during their body exchanges and establish ground rules by communicating through various messages to avoid interfering with each other's lives. Mitsuha's instructions dictate that he should always be polite and exhibit good manners. He is also prohibited from showering while in her body. In turn, Taki warns Mitsuha not to squander his hard-earned money on desserts and sweets, since he will end up working extra hours if he runs out of money. Despite their best intentions, they struggle to resist temptation and comically manipulate each other's lives. At school, Taki manages to charm a few boys into liking Mitsuha, while Mitsuha flirts with Miss Okudera, giving Taki a real chance with her. Both become irritated with each other for breaking their agreements. And when Mitsuha returns to her body, her family and friends express concern about her, noting that she hasn't been herself. Mitsuha's friends inform her of her peculiar behavior, mentioning how she forgot about her locker and even struggled with styling her hair, confirming for her that her experiences were not dreams after all. This prompts Mitsuha to search for Taki and finally meet him. However, unbeknownst to her, they exist in different timelines. Thus, when they switched bodies, it was 3 years into the future, and by the time Mitsuha locates Taki, he does not recognize her. Mitsuha's final attempt to connect with Taki is to give him her ribbon. She often ties her hair up, and when she does, she shares her name with him, which helps reinforce their connection. Mitsuha arrives home just in time for the annual festival her hometown celebrates. During the festival, the comet from earlier appears, and as it breaks apart, all of Idomori is annihilated, resulting in Mitsuha's death as well. 3 years go by, and Taki finds himself within Mitsuha's body. This occurs in an alternate timeline, before Mitsuha's death, and also before Taki and she meet. These body switches occur randomly for several weeks, typically about twice a week. The common trigger for these switches is sleep. When Taki goes to bed, he sometimes wakes up as himself, and sometimes as Mitsuha's. During this period, Taki and Mitsuha become more familiar with each other by living each other's lives, developing their own system of communication. Mitsuha writes notes in Taki's diary for him to read when he switches back to his own body. After some time, Taki eagerly desires to meet the girl he has been exchanging bodies with. He collects details about her surroundings and sketches the town, but it never really occurs to him to ask for the name of her town. The switches eventually stop because Mitsuha has died in her timeline, and Taki is determined to learn more about the girl he has been switching with. He takes his friends and they venture into the countryside. Taki soon unearths the fate of Idomori, the town that was destroyed 3 years prior when the comet fell. The journal entries Mitsuha left begin to erase from Taki's phone, and any trace of the girl's existence vanishes, except for the red ribbon Taki kept tied around his wrist. From there, Taki learns about the tragedy of Idomori, the number of lives lost, and the immense devastation the comet caused when it struck the town. On the final day, Taki was in Mitsuha's body. He recalls visiting a shrine that housed something belonging to Mitsuha's family. He is uncertain of its exact location, but he believes it may contain a clue regarding his next steps. After some searching, he locates the shrine at the center of a crater created by a comet that impacted Japan thousands of years ago, though it is a different comet than the one that formed the lake in Idomori and the one that killed Mitsuha. Inside the shrine, Taki discovers the kuchikamizake Mitsuha prepared, along with a mural illustrating the comet splitting in the sky. Taki consumes the kuchikamizake that Mitsuha made and experiences her family's history. He witnesses the moment her mother dies and her father abandons her. He sees everything that has led to this moment. And remarkably, Taki wakes up in Mitsuha's body again on the day the comet is about to hit the town. We learn that the kuchikamizake contains a part of Mitsuha's soul, so when Taki drinks it, they are able to connect, allowing their bodies to switch. Throughout the time Taki and Mitsuha have been swapping bodies, others believe the two are simply having off days, but their grandmother realizes what has transpired. She informs Taki and Mitsuha's body that they possess enhanced spiritual abilities, have been handed down in the family for ages, while her father had long since abandoned the family customs. Even he recognizes that the individual he's conversing with is not his daughter. Taki understands what he must do next, which is to save the people of Idomori from being obliterated by the comet. He assembles Mitsuha and his friends and attempts to create a bomb scare at the town festival so that the residents will evacuate to the school building that is outside the comet's perilous area. The plan is set in motion, but while people are bewildered and frightened by the bomb scare rumors, it's not sufficient to persuade individuals to evacuate, and no one is heeding their warnings about the comet. As the plan proceeds, there is one thing Taki must do to ensure everything goes as intended. He has to return Mitsuha to her own timeline to assist in saving her town back at the shrine. Dusk draws near, and where different realms merge together, Taki and Mitsuha encounter one another. They are still inhabiting each other's bodies, but the two finally meet and recognize each other for the first time. Emotions soar, and Taki gives back Mitsuha's red ribbon, the ribbon that she bestowed upon him. When they initially met by handing back the ribbon, Taki inadvertently breaks their connection. They attempt to inscribe each other's names on the other's palm, but twilight soon fades and the bond is severed. Taki is returned to his own body and timeline, while Mitsuha is back in hers. But the comet is about to strike, and the scheme to frighten everyone into the school building has failed. People are oblivious to the threat. She has only one opportunity to rescue her family and her town, which requires convincing her father to permit the emergency services to evacuate the town while she fights to race down a mountain and back into town. She battles to recall the individuals she connected with up there. Taki didn't have the chance to write his name on her palm, but he did manage to inscribe, "I love you" on Mitsuha's palm. She doesn't recall who wrote this or how it ended up on her hand, yet she can sense something within her, something that provides her the strength to persevere against insurmountable odds. She reaches her father in time and succeeds in evacuating the city just before the comet strikes. Now that the town is safeguarded, the timelines unite into one, and because Mitsuha never perished, she and Taki exist in the present. And since Taki returned Mitsuha's ribbon, neither of them remembers the other's name. It's as if all the occurrences that led to this moment suddenly disappeared. However, that doesn't imply they have entirely forgotten one another. 12 years have gone by, and the two lead their lives as usual, though both feel that something or someone is absent from their lives. We see Taki has completed college and is currently searching for a job in Tokyo, but he's not having any luck. Then while he's on the train, another train rolls by and someone captures his attention. He can't recall where, but he senses he might have met that individual in another lifetime. The two desperately search for one another, and they finally come together. Teika meets Mitsuha properly for the very first time. They inquire about each other's names, and the anime concludes here. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and activate the notification bell so you never miss out on another video. Until next time, take care.